Jox had seen many strange things in his years as a trader traveling across countless star systems, but nothing quite like the market on Zarthon Prima, chaotic, crowded place where species from every corner of the galaxy came to buy, sell, and barter for everything imaginable. The air buzzed with the hum of alien voices, the clinking of exotic metals, and the sharp scent of unfamiliar spices. His eyes scanned the chaotic scene, darting from one curious item to the next, but it was the announcement from the auctioneer that made him pause. Next up, a rare find from the distant planet Vortnum, alien princess, blind but gifted, in need of a new home. Jox moved closer, curiosity pulling him through the dense crowd. At the center stood a figure unlike any he had ever seen. Her skin was a pale shade of greenish-gray, covered with subtle, shimmering patterns that seemed almost alive under the bright lights. Her face, too many in the crowd, was not beautiful, at least by the usual standards of the galaxy's varied races. Her features were uneven and marked by small scars and rough textures, and her eyes were covered by smooth, milky lids, revealing nothing but blindness. Whispers rippled through the crowd, some cruel, some confused, calling her ugly, unworthy, and even a burden. Yet despite the murmurs and the jeers, the princess stood tall, her posture regal even in captivity. A soft smile graced her lips, calm and peaceful, as if she carried a secret no one else could see.
Wow.
Jox's heart stirred unexpectedly. He wondered what strength a person must have to be so happy when the world around her judged her harshly and could not see her as she truly was. The auctioneer began the bidding, voices rising in competition. Wealthy buyers from different systems bid for her royal status, her potential political value, or just out of curiosity. But Jox, a simple trader with no interest in political games, was drawn by something else. A feeling of kindness, perhaps, or a desire to protect someone so misunderstood. He raised his bid quietly at first, then with more confidence, until, to the surprise of many, the auctioneer declared the blind alien princess sold to Jox. The crowd was stunned. Some scoffed, others whispered questions, but Jox only looked at her, who still smiled warmly despite the unknown future ahead. On the way back to his ship, Jox felt a strange mix of excitement and responsibility. He didn't know much about her culture or the powers she might hold, but he was certain of one thing: this was no ordinary purchase. Lyra, as he would soon learn her name was, seemed to carry a light within her that could not be measured by appearances or titles. As they traveled through the stars, he watched her reach out with her hands, feeling the air and vibrations, as if sensing the universe in a way he could not understand. Jox's mind raced with questions and possibilities, but one thing remained clear. This unexpected encounter might change not only their lives but the fate of many beyond. The story of the ugly, blind alien princess had only just begun, and already it held the promise of hope, courage, and an unexpected bond that would defy the prejudices of countless worlds. Back on the quiet hum of his starship, far from the chaos of the Zarthon Prime market, Jox found himself in a strange new role, not just a trader, but a protector and curious student of the mysterious princess he had bought. Lyra, as she quietly revealed her name in soft, thoughtful words, came from a world scarred by long years of conflict and hardship. A place where beauty was measured in strength and survival, rather than delicate features or shiny appearances. Jox could tell she carried the weight of that history in the way she moved and spoke, even though her face held that peaceful smile as if she had found a secret happiness beyond pain. Though she could not see the stars streaking past their ships, windows, or the colors of distant planets. Lyra did not seem limited by blindness. Instead, she experienced the universe in ways Jox had never imagined. She could feel the emotions of others, like a gentle current flowing through the air around her, sensing anger, joy, fear, and hope as clearly as if they were spoken aloud. It was a strange, beautiful kind of sight, one that opened a door into the heart of those nearby, revealing truths hidden from the eyes of most. Jox, fascinated and determined to help her, set to work on a special surprise, a way to translate the world of light and color into something Lyra could understand deeply and fully. He converted one room of his ship into a sensory chamber, filling it with devices that created vibrations, subtle shifts in air pressure, and carefully designed scents. Each element was crafted to represent colors, shapes, and even the mood of the environments outside. When Lyra first stepped inside, her fingers reached out instinctively, tracing the gentle pulses that hummed beneath her touch. She closed her eyes and smiled wider than Jocks had ever seen, her face lighting up as she felt the colors of the swirling light show he had programmed, deep blues that vibrated softly like calm waves, fiery reds that sparked sharp, quick pulses like crackling flames, and gentle greens that floated like a breeze through a forest. More than the technical marvel, it was the connection, the way Lyra's presence filled the room with a quiet joy and wonder that made Jocks realize how much he had underestimated her. She was not fragile or broken. She was whole in a way few understood, and this room was her bridge to a world beyond blindness. Night after night, they spent time in the chamber. Jocks watched as Lyra's emotions shifted with the patterns, sometimes laughing softly when the scents of blooming flowers mixed with gentle blues, other times resting peacefully in warm golden hues that felt like sunlight on her skin. Slowly their bond grew, woven through shared moments of discovery and quiet understanding. Jocks began to learn the stories Lyra told without words, the feelings she carried about her homeland, the pain of losing her family, and the hope she held on to for a better future. She, in turn, learned about the wide universe Jocks had traveled, his dreams beyond trading, and the kindness that had led him to buy her, not as a prize, but as a person worthy of respect and friendship. Yet, beneath this calm, a subtle tension remained. Jocks could feel it, and the vibrations around them traces of danger that followed Lyra's royal bloodline, whispered threats from those who would seek to control her or use her abilities for their own ends. He knew their time was limited, that the surprise he had prepared was only the first step in a much larger journey. But for now, in the soft glow of the sensory room, they found a rare piece, a chance to see the world, not as it appeared, but as it felt deep within the heart. And in that moment, the ugly blind princess was not a prize or a mystery, but a shining light, happy and free at last in the company of someone who chose to see her truth, as days passed aboard the starship. Connection to the new sensory world Jocks had created, blossoming like a rare flower in a barren land. Each day, she explored the vibrations and scents with eager hands and an open heart, discovering new ways to understand the universe without sight. The walls of the sensory chamber became her canvas, where color spoke to her through touch and shapes whispered secrets through subtle shifts in the air. Jocks watched her with a mix of admiration and wonder, realizing that Lyra's blindness was not a limitation, but a doorway into a world of empathy and insight he had never known before. She taught him to listen carefully, not just to words, but to the emotions beneath them, to see with his heart rather than his eyes. Through her, Jocks learned to question everything he thought he knew about beauty, strength, and power. Lyra shared stories of her homeland, where people judged worth not by appearance, but by courage and wisdom, where the harsh realities of war had shaped a culture that valued resilience above all. Her calm voice, filled with memories and hope, opened new horizons for Jocks, and their bond grew stronger with each passing moment. But as their friendship deepened, the quiet peace of their sanctuary began to crack under the weight of growing outside interest. Word had spread quickly among the galaxy's networks about the human who had taken in the blind alien princess, the one they called ugly, but who carried a power beyond sight. Messages and signals arrived from unknown sources, some offering friendship and alliance. Others veiled threats and warnings to return Lyra to those who claimed her by right of blood. Jocks felt the tension like a cold shadow creeping into the warmth of their ship, a reminder that Lyra's royal heritage was both a blessing and a curse. The factions that sought her wanted her gifts, her unique ability to sense emotions, her connection to her people's lost wisdom, and the hope she represented for peace and change. Jocks knew he had to protect her, but the danger was more complicated than simple threats. There were spies hidden among traders, watchers in the communications, and whispers in the trade routes that could turn into sudden attacks. Despite the risks, Lyra remained unshaken. Her strength inspired Jocks every day, her smile steady and true, even as the shadows grew longer. Together, they developed plans not just to defend themselves, but to use Lyra's gifts for something greater. She taught Jocks how to calm fear and anger with quiet understanding, how to read the intentions hidden beneath words, and how to turn suspicion into trust. Slowly, their partnership became a beacon in the darkness, a sign that even in a universe filled with conflict and prejudice, kindness and courage could flourish. Their story began to inspire others, those who had been judged or overlooked, those who dreamed of a future where differences were celebrated rather than feared. And yet the question hung heavy in the air. How long could this fragile peace last? Who would make the next move? And what price would they pay for daring to defy the expectations set by worlds far beyond their own? As the ship sailed through the stars, carrying two unlikely friends bound by fate and choice, the answer remained hidden, waiting to be revealed in the next chapter of their journey. But one thing was clear. The bond between Jocks and Lyra was unbreakable, forged not by blood or sight, but by understanding, respect, and the quiet power of a shared dream. The quiet hum of the starship was suddenly broken by the shrill warning alarms echoing through the corridors, sending a ripple of tension through Jocks' chest. They had known danger was coming, but the speed and ferocity of the attack caught them both off guard. A group of mercenaries, hired by powerful factions, eager to reclaim Lyra and use her royal blood for their own political games, had tracked them down far faster than Jocks expected. The ship's sensors showed multiple boarding pods closing in, their intentions clear and unforgiving. Lyra stood beside Jocks, calm but alert, her hand lightly resting on his arm, a silent reassurance that they faced this threat together. In that moment, Jocks' mind raced through every possible plan. Every trick he had learned from years of trading in hostile territories. But this was no ordinary fight. It was a test of their combined strength, the merging of human ingenuity with alien wisdom. As the mercenaries breached the hull, Jocks activated the ship's defenses, not lethal weapons, but systems designed to confuse and disorient. Lights flickered in a wild, shifting pattern, and the corridors filled with shifting vibrations and dot 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 dot. Jocks activated the ship's defenses, not lethal weapons, but systems designed to confuse, and designed. Lights flickered in a collid. Lights flickered in a wild willed. Well up. Welt, well up. Well up. Well and says elves, eyes collid. Subtle sense that Lyra had helped design in the sensory room. She closed her eyes and reached out, sensing the panic and confusion spreading among the invaders, their emotions tangled and exposed by her unique gifts. Using her ability to feel intentions, Lyra guided Jocks through hidden passages and emergency exits unknown to the mercenaries, turning the ship's layout into a maze that favored those who understood more than just sight. They moved silently, striking only when necessary, using distractions and traps to slow the enemy's advance. Jocks hacked into the communication systems, feeding false signals to the attackers, making them question each other in their mission. Meanwhile, Lyra's calm presence acted like a shield, dampening the fear and anger that could have overwhelmed them. Together, they were more than just a trader and a captive princess. They were a team, a force that combined human creativity with alien perception in ways their enemies had not anticipated. At one point, when surrounded in a narrow corridor, Lyra reached out with her senses and discovered a hidden weakness in the mercenaries. Leader, a flicker of doubt and hesitation that gave Jocks the moment he needed to disable their weapons and turn the tide. The battle was intense but brief, a dance of wits and willpower rather than brute force. As the last of the mercenaries retreated, confused and defeated, Jocks and Lyra stood side by side, their breathing heavy but steady. The danger was far from over, but the experience had changed them. Their bond, once built on curiosity and kindness, had deepened into a powerful partnership forged in the heat of battle. Jocks looked at Lyra not just as the princess he had saved, but as an equal, a friend, and a guide through a universe that often judged by appearances, but was full of surprises for those willing to look deeper. Lyra smiled back, her eyes still closed but shining with gratitude and strength, knowing that together they could face whatever came next. The attack had proven one truth: human resilience and alien wisdom. When united, created a force no enemy could easily break, and as the stars drifted past their ship once more, they prepared for the challenges ahead, ready to fight not just for survival, but for a future where understanding and respect could overcome fear and prejudice. With the danger of the mercenaries behind them, Jocks and Lyra found themselves standing at the beginning of a new journey, one filled not with fear, but with purpose and hope. Their time on the ship, full of trials and quiet moments, had changed them both deeply. Lyra, once seen as an ugly blind princess by many, was now known as a symbol of strength, kindness, and wisdom that went far beyond appearances. She carried a light inside her, a power not measured by how she looked or the throne she had lost, but by the empathy she shared with others. Jocks, who had come to her life by chance and simple kindness, became her steadfast partner in this mission to change the way the galaxy saw royalty, beauty, and true leadership. Together, they set course for Lyra's homeworld, a planet still scarred by years of war and division, where old ideas about power and status ruled like unbroken chains. Lyra's first act was to use her extraordinary ability to feel the emotions and intentions of those around her, not with eyes, but with her heart. She began mediating peace talks between rival factions, speaking words that carried the weight of understanding and hope rather than threats or commands. In crowded rooms where suspicion once ruled, Lyra's calm presence created moments of silence and reflection. Her voice, steady and gentle, carried stories of courage and kindness from her journey with Jocks, inspiring others to see beyond the surface and listen with open minds. Meanwhile, Jocks became her voice among the wider worlds, traveling to neighboring systems and trade hubs to share the story of Lyra's strength and the lessons they had learned together. He spoke about kindness as the greatest form of leadership, about how true power came from respecting differences and lifting up those who were often ignored or forgotten. The message spread slowly but surely, carried by word of mouth, messages, and meetings in distant starports. People began to question old prejudices, to see the value in those who did not fit traditional molds of beauty or power. As Lyra's influence grew, so did the hope for a future where strength was measured by heart and mind, not by bloodline or appearance. But this change was not easy or fast. Old enemies remained, wary of new ideas and fearful of losing control. Threats still came in whispers, and challenges tested the bond between Jocks and Lyra. Yet, they faced every obstacle with the same courage and trust that had carried them through earlier battles. Their partnership was a shining example that even the most unlikely allies could build something stronger than fear. Throughout it all, the sensory room Jocks had built remained a sanctuary, a reminder that seeing the world in new ways could unlock hidden beauty and power. Lyra's ability to sense emotions helped bridge gaps between cultures and individuals, turning fear into friendship and conflict into cooperation. Stories of the blind princess who changed her world began to inspire other planets to look past appearances and value the unexpected gifts within every person. Together, Jocks and Lyra became a beacon of hope across the galaxy, proof that true royalty came not from a crown or looks, but from kindness, empathy, and the courage to stand for what is right. Their journey was far from over, but they knew that, with each step forward, they were reshaping the future not just for themselves, but for countless others who dreamed of a world where everyone was seen and valued for who they truly were.